of football. But his resignation late last night has brought fresh calls for the owner Mike Ashley to quit the club too. Ill feeling has come to the boil again after the club's failure to make any permanent signings and the 3-0 derby defeat to Sunderland. Well, Peter Harris is live at St James's Park now, and not many fans will miss Joe Kinnear, will they, Peter?
No, Dawn, and in fact it's by no means certain that Joe Kinnear will be replaced at all, but given that many were unsure what his role actually entailed, it's difficult to gauge how much difference that actually makes. Was he pushed or did he jump? Well, nobody seemed to care today, so long as Joe Kinnear was gone.
One punter in my bar running boozer, he turned around and he said, "I spent more money than Joe Kinnear across the bar tonight." Yeah, so he didn't do nothing for anyway. There's only one man that pulls the strings here. We all know who it is.
He's collateral damage in the whole shake-up of Newcastle United. It's a bigger picture. It's Mike Ashley and his ownership of the club, and you know it's an unhappy marriage which needs to be annulled.
Few seem sure what Kinnear actually did. Appointed Newcastle interim manager in 2008, the following February he needed heart surgery. By April he was gone, only to return last June as director of football. An eccentric radio interview followed.
To all the Newcastle fans who don't do this decision, shall I bring Lambesi back in? You know, what do you want?
And there'd been a foul-mouthed press conference.
Out of order. Absolute out of order.
Saturday's derby humiliation and the failure to make any permanent signings brought the end.
Whether that's Newcastle's way of saying he didn't do his job or he didn't bring players in or what, we're not quite sure. But I hope it's not ill health. I hope he's okay there. But I'm not sure what his job was anyway at Newcastle.
The question now is who replaces Joe Kinnear. There is speculation it could be Derek Lambias, who was the managing director until he left last year when Kinnear arrived. Or even it could be Dennis Wise, both of which would seem highly unlikely. But this being Newcastle United, we've learned not to be surprised by anything. He was a splash of colour, I guess, you should at least say that. Mark Douglas is here from the Journal. Hi, Mark.
Hi.
I'm just reading your piece on the Journal site today, talking about the whispers that Mike Ashley might be willing to sell. I mean, how realistic do you think that is?
I think he's been willing to sell if the right offer comes in for a heck of a long time. You know, I think that's the reality of Newcastle United at the moment. But that buyer is not out there, and as of yet, we haven't really seen somebody who's willing to come in. But I think there's no doubt about it that his enthusiasm for this club has definitely waned in the last few years, and the Joe Kinnear appointment and subsequent resignation has probably sapped a little bit more energy out of his joy for the club.
Yeah, I mean, I was here on Saturday and the atmosphere was fraught to say the very least, but keeping it in some perspective, if he was here, I know he doesn't talk to us, but if he did, he could say this could well be a top 10 finish. You know, where's the perspective?
Yeah, no, that's a very fair point. You know, in many ways, this has been a good season. Big wins against Manchester United, Chelsea, Tottenham, and you'd really have to say that, you know, there's been some really good performances. But all the time there's been this kind of little niggling feeling that there's this disengagement from the supporters, this feeling of maybe taking them for granted, and the Kinnear appointment and subsequent TalkSport interview really kind of created this kind of toxic atmosphere around the club, and you're never more than about one or two bad results away from that coming to the surface again. And some of these decisions that Mike Ashley's made are just absolutely baffling, and there really does feel to be a disconnect between the club and the city at the moment, which is partly what this crisis is about.
Now, Joe Kinnear has gone without those permanent signings and those contacts he said that he had. If there was to be a replacement, any ideas?
I mean, Derek Lambias has been talked about. I know that he still talks to Mike Ashley. They do other business. But I'm not necessarily sure that that's something that's going to happen anytime soon. I think Derek would probably come back. He enjoyed his time up here, did pretty good job on the whole, although it wasn't all sweetness and light there as well. But knowing Mike Ashley, it could come completely from left field. That's one of the problems with this regime. We just do not know what's going to happen next.
OK, Mark, thanks for joining us. There you are. You do not know what's going to happen. We might as well be honest. Watch this space, Dawn.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Peter. And Newcastle United fans, as you might have guessed, have had plenty to say about Joe Kinnear's departure on the Look North Facebook page. The web address is on your screen now if you'd like to share your views. Now, the Winter Olympics open in the Russian city of Sochi.